The story of the first moon landing, Apollo 11, a dream that began on Earth for thousands of years. The moon fascinated humanity. Ancient civilizations wrote myths about it. Sailors used it for navigation, and poets described it as a symbol of mystery and beauty. But for most of human history, the moon remained an unreachable world hanging silently in the night sky. That changed during the 20th century. After World War II, two global superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, entered an intense technological competition known as the space race. Both nations wanted to prove their scientific superiority by conquering space. The Soviet Union achieved early victories. In 1957, they launched Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite to orbit Earth. The event shocked the United States and demonstrated that the Soviet Union had advanced rocket technology. Soon after, the Soviets scored another historic achievement. In 1961, Yuri Gagarin became the first human to travel into space and orbit the Earth. The United States realized it needed a bold goal that would capture the imagination of the world. He made an extraordinary promise. The United States would land a man on the moon and bring him safely back to Earth before the end of the decade. At that moment, the technology required to achieve this goal did not yet exist. Rockets powerful enough to carry humans to the moon were still being designed. Computers were primitive compared to modern technology. Many scientists considered the goal extremely ambitious. But the challenge inspired the nation. Thousands of engineers, scientists, and astronauts began working together under the leadership of NASA. Building the road to the moon before attempting a moon landing, NASA had to solve many complex problems. How could humans survive the vacuum of space? How could spacecraft navigate hundreds of thousands of kilometers? How could astronauts safely return to Earth? To answer these questions, NASA launched several earlier programs. The first was Project Mercury, which focused on sending a single astronaut into orbit around Earth. Then came Project Gemini, which tested critical techniques such as spacewalks, docking spacecraft together, and long-duration missions. These missions provided the knowledge required for the final and most ambitious program. That program was Apollo program. The rocket that could reach the moon. To travel to the moon, NASA needed the most powerful rocket ever built. Engineers designed the enormous Saturn V, standing about 110 meters tall. It was as tall as a 36-story building. The rocket produced an unbelievable amount of power. The Saturn V would carry astronauts aboard a spacecraft consisting of two main sections, the Apollo Command Module, the Apollo Lunar Module. The command module would stay in lunar orbit, while the lunar module would descend to the moon's surface. Every step of the mission had to be rehearsed repeatedly because even a small mistake in space could be fatal. The journey through space, the distance between Earth and the Moon, is about 384,000 kilometers. For 3 days, Apollo 11 traveled through the silent darkness of space. Inside the spacecraft, the astronauts checked instruments, performed navigation calculations, and communicated with mission control back on Earth. Millions of people watched the mission closely. For the first time in history, humans were traveling to another world. As Apollo 11 approached the Moon, the astronauts could see its enormous craters and gray landscapes filling the windows. The spacecraft entered lunar orbit. Now came the most dangerous part of the mission. Preparing for the landing, Armstrong and Aldrin moved into the lunar module, called Eagle Lunar Module. Meanwhile, Collins remained alone in the command module orbiting the Moon. If anything went wrong during the landing, Armstrong and Aldrin might never return. Mission Control in Houston carefully monitored every detail. Suddenly, warning alarms appeared inside the spacecraft. The onboard computer was overloaded. For a moment, the entire mission seemed in danger. But NASA engineers quickly analyzed the problem and confirmed that the landing could continue. Armstrong took partial manual control as the spacecraft approached the surface. He noticed that the planned landing area was covered with large rocks. If the Eagle landed there, it could tip over or be damaged. Armstrong guided the spacecraft forward, searching for a safer place. Fuel was running dangerously low. Finally, he spotted a clear area. The lunar module gently touched down. Armstrong spoke the historic words, "Houston, Tranquility Base here." The Eagle has landed. Cheers erupted inside Mission Control. Humans had successfully landed on the moon. For the first time ever, a human stood on another celestial body. Soon after, Aldrin joined him on the surface. They described the landscape as a magnificent desolation. The ground was covered with fine gray dust, and the horizon seemed strangely close because the moon has no atmosphere. It successfully docked with the command module, where Collins was waiting. The crew reunited and prepared for the journey back to Earth. After several days traveling through space, Apollo 11 approached Earth's atmosphere. A moment that changed history. The moon landing became one of the greatest achievements in human history. More than 600 million people watched the event on television. It demonstrated the incredible power of science, engineering, and human determination. The mission proved that humans could travel to other worlds. In the years that followed, 5 more Apollo missions successfully landed astronauts on the moon. But Apollo 11 will always be remembered as the first. The legacy of Apollo 11. The success of the moon landing inspired generations of scientists, engineers, and explorers. Technologies developed for the Apollo program helped advance computers, materials science, and telecommunications. Even today, the moon landing continues to inspire new space missions. Organizations like NASA and private companies such as SpaceX are planning future missions to the moon and beyond. Humanity is now preparing for new journeys to Mars and deeper into the universe. But every future step into space traces back to the moment when a human first stepped onto the moon. The night sky has never looked the same since.